here in the market. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for March 3rd, 2020. We got the Qs, which initially was up, has reversed the move, now down 3.1%. We got a few minutes, three and a half minutes left until the close here, and SPY down just about 3% as well. Okay, so to recap here, what happened today? Okay, we got this pop initially in the morning as news came out that the Fed was cutting rates. Now, if you recall, coming into today, we had a bullish bias based on the recently formed hourly uptrend that we had going on here. So coming into today, we were bullish and we got pretty good follow through initially, and then the Fed rate announcement got things going further. But you can see it started to struggle as we moved our way through the morning. So we were bullish coming into today, did get a nice pop off that news, but the news of that rate cut ended up getting sold back down. Okay, so what does that all mean? Well, that is the question, and we're gonna find out here pretty soon. Okay, so I think what makes the bias going into tomorrow challenging is that we have time frame conflict. Now, throughout this grind higher, we talked about the continuation of the weekly, the monthly, and the daily, and the importance of time frame alignment. Right now, as this hourly is still trying to maintain its uptrend, it's starting to come into question now as it's come back down. Right, you can see kind of where we were putting in higher lows and higher highs, but now it's starting to struggle to do so. Right, and we have a daily here that is setting up not a very well formed, but a sell setup is forming. Okay, I think what will give us the nicest kind of setup would be if we get an inside day tomorrow. Okay, if we get an inside day tomorrow, then underneath that low, that will trigger the sell setup. Expect lower prices. Okay, if that doesn't happen tomorrow, then and we just start going lower, the hourly uptrend will be over, the daily sell setup will be in play. Okay, and so we will be back to bearish. So underneath today's low, back to bearish. Otherwise, I'm going to be staying neutral. Okay, looks like the hourly uptrend ran its course. Okay, and the Fed announcement, I think, even kind of sped up that process or got it to where it wanted to go in a hurry. And so we've kind of seen where the bulls were willing to take this, and now we're starting to see kind of the reaction in the larger time frames, the recent selling that we've had start to come back into play. Okay, now because of how much we're seeing movement from announcements, from these kind of things that are impacting the market, COVID-19, and different kind of responses to that, how important that is, it's important for us to be nimble, okay, which is why I think it's important to spend time going over, okay, underneath today's low, back to bearish. If we maybe gap up a little bit or don't gap up at all and just open up sideways here, gonna be neutral because we do have time frame conflict. Okay, all right, so also different than what we had last week, which was a clear break of the uptrend. Hourly was in a clear downtrend, right? You can see how much easier this is to read yet last week and why we were just bearish day after day. Here's the line in the sand. Here's the line in the sand. Here's the line in the sand until this week when we actually started to transition out of it. Now that we retraced a bit of that move, you can see the conflict going here. Hourly is trying to hold, right, and starting to weaken. Daily is starting to show us signs too that the daily wants to roll back over. Okay, so you can see why it's important for us to put forth what our plan is, so that way, whatever way happens, right, we have a plan. We know what we're doing. We're not doing random things. We're not surprised by any kind of price move and unsure of what we should be doing. There's no panicking or anything, right? We go over what the price is, where we would be bearish, neutral, or bullish, and then we trade accordingly. Okay, it doesn't mean that we're always going to get the bias right, or that we're always going to know exactly where the market is going to turn, but it's so that we can be nimble without being random. Okay, so that's going to be the plan going into tomorrow, and that's really, really the focus. Lately we've had, because we've moved out of earnings season, less things to look at. We will still have some tomorrow. I think ANF, JWN are some of the ones on the list, but they're a lot smaller than what we had last week. So especially without a lot of earnings names, we're gonna have the market is gonna be a much bigger factor, and the market is moving a lot. So that's really, really dictating what a lot of the other what the other stocks are gonna do as well. So really, really important focus here. I did want to keep the IWM on the list just to keep an eye on it. It is showing relative weakness to the Qs and SPY. You can look into that and how it could potentially lead the market. They see the monthly here starting to roll over. That was a lower high there, potentially trying to put in a lower low. Usually throughout the day, I don't watch the IWM as closely. Qs and SPY pretty much always have on a chart, but something also to compare here to see if the IWM, which is showing relative weakness, leads on the way down. Okay. All right. So hopefully you got the plan for tomorrow. Underneath today's low, bearish. Otherwise, going to be neutral. Barring any kind of, like, if we get a large gap up, say we gap over today's high, that's pretty bullish. I don't think that's going to happen. It could, but that would probably, I wouldn't be bullish ahead of any move other than above today's high. And even if we kind of grind our way up there, I think that even then is still going to leave me neutral. So kind of, unless there's like a really shocking kind of gap where the market just leaps over today's high, and gets the next move up started, going to be neutral going into tomorrow. But if we break down here on the hourly, right, and then really trigger this daily sell setup, then then it's going to be back to a bearish bias. Okay. All right. Hope you're doing well. All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow. See what the market brings us. All right. Have a good evening.